Hey everyone, good to hear from everybody. Poseidon, thanks for having me here.
Of course.
Um, yeah, and also hello everyone in the Outliers community. Yeah, it's exciting. I was here last, I guess, last meeting on the 72nd, and now on the 73rd. There's a lot of new things
Progress.
that have
Yeah.
been,
A lot of
progress
progress,
and new things.
like just between
Exactly.
the last 1 to 2 months.
100%. So really excited to catch you guys up to speed. And as always, a lot of our, updates are centered around trying to explore the idea of token bound accounts and make sense of it because we really believe it's like a new EVM paradigm that's going to affect all NFTs. So without further ado, I'll share my screen and then we'll go through it.
Let's do it.
Cool. Do you see it?
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. So future primitive. So we firmly believe that token bound accounts or TBAs or sometimes known as ERC-6551 is a fundamental EVM paradigm. And what is an EVM paradigm? Well, you probably are familiar with several of these things here: ZK proofs, flash loans, MEV, NFTs themselves. All of these have changed the entire trajectory or have created ecosystems of amazing projects, innovations in the really deep protocol level. So, the way we think about it is TBAs is amongst a few of these that obviously this list is not limited to, but we feel like it's an important thing. And how it kind of really makes sense in our brain is, NFTs represent native internet objects. In the digital world, we have cryptocurrency, which kind of mimics currency in the real world. In the physical world, you probably own cars or a phone or house or like, I don't know, a collectible toy. And in the digital world, that's represented as an NFT, right? A digital object that's unique. And so everything that we're focused on is really centered around, okay, now that we have digital objects that you can buy and speculate, sometimes they look like an ape, sometimes they look like a generative art piece. But the fact of the matter is, we have to do more than buy, sell, trade. We can't just, create a Discord chat and get a bunch of people and pump it, and then that's it. We have to do more in innovating the native internet objects. So token bound accounts is centered around driving NFT utility, specifically on chain. And that's really crucial because if you think about if you do own NFTs, all the NFTs that you own, what can you really do with it? And usually the answer is not much, besides holding it and waiting for the floor price to go up. And eventually, once we get to that realm, we can now build on top of it. And we really firmly believe in this kind of natural evolution of NFTs morphing into what we call NPCs. For us, NPC stands for networked playable characters. It's similar to Balaji's network state, in that what we're really talking about is who are the participants of these network states in the future. Is it humans like us on a call this evening, or will it be something else, like something digital? And so some of the things that we've been really working on is this intersection of AI models and LLM. What happens when that represents like the brain and the logic, and the NFT has, with token bound accounts, represents the body and the identity and the account system. And now you can merge those together and you get something of like a digital character that lives on chain and can perform on chain transactions. And it could be controlled by a human, or it could be automated. And we think that future is quite a way down, maybe 2-3 years, but it will fundamentally restructure how we think about the blockchain and the participants. So to further illustrate this, I have a non-factual kind of example. I really am a fan of explaining complex ideas in the simplest form. So in this scenario, we have Amelia. She's a US citizen and she wants to open a bank account in Japan. precursor to this is I'm not a lawyer or a finance person, so this is just used for illustrative concept. So Amelia wants a bank account in Japan. And let's just say in this scenario, in this fictitious scenario, Amelia is required by, I don't know, Japanese law that she needs to have a Japanese passport or visa in order to do so. And so that's quite a lot of work. She has to, apply and get interviewed, all these things, right? And upon receiving the visa from Japan to open the bank account, all of that, she is asked from the US side that she must close down all of her financial accounts within the US, liquidate all of her assets, like her car or other things, or alternatively, put all her assets in in an area, like a shared trust that holds these assets and objects, right, that she owns in the US. And she, reads the requirements and she's like, okay, fine, I'll do it. So she goes and does that, and now she moves to Japan because that's one of the requirements. She now opens the Japanese bank account, but because she's still an American citizen, technically she's gonna pay U.S. tax and Japanese tax. Now you're probably scratching your head like, why is Benny talking about tax and all these things? But it will all make sense, trust me, once this analogy makes a full loop. Uh-oh. Well, all those things that she put in the custody in the US side, like her car, her grandma's engagement ring, all the things that are in the storage locker, all of these things that she put in the shared trust in the American side. Well, unfortunately, they were all confiscated and liquidated without her knowing. She's in Japan right now. She, is doing her thing, but she finds this out and she's quite sad about it. So now this is where we make the connection. The Azuki is an NFT. Right now it's a static asset. It's doesn't really have a life. It's inherent. It sits in a wallet. But we believe that NFTs will kind of come to life, whether as a decentralized IP or some sort of on-chain agent or autonomous agent. And this Azuki lives on Ethereum mainnet. Now, the biggest problem, as I've kind of illustrated, is how do we get this Suzuki that is from Ethereum to somehow go to Japan or the Optimism L2? Now, this Suzuki was minted on Ethereum, so technically the contract's deployed on mainnet. It's too costly to perform anything on chain. You got to pay a lot on mainnet if you want to play a game with the Azuki or voting if it's all on chain. It would be so much more affordable to be on an L2. Now, present day, you do have a few options. You can go through a native bridge or a third-party bridge, and all of the potential risk scenarios, for example, the seizure of the assets, the losing of the assets, the being hacked, or all of that, they all exist, just like the analogy that I've been trying to illustrate. These are the options present day, right? And that's a lot of work already to just get from Ethereum to Optimism. Now, what if we expand this further? What if we imagine a future where there are literally hundreds or thousands of different countries or L2s, Optimism, Polygon, Arbitrum Base, you name it. This is going to continue to grow, right? And what if it's the entire world, right? So we start to have a really big problem at hand. How do we get this NFT to basically receive the ability to, make a transaction or be able to live in all of these countries at the same time? I don't believe there is such thing in the real world. I don't think there's anyone in the world that has all the passports of every country. But effectively, what if that was possible? So that's where token-bound accounts sit. Token-bound accounts creates a universal account and utility layer for the NFT, which essentially you could imagine it's like it issues out the passports and the visa for every single country or every single L2. And now the Azuki has a way to freely access all these resources and live in anywhere they want. And so we no longer kind of need to rely on all of these third-party potential risks and all of that. So token-bound accounts is that paradigm that is so core to this feature we're illustrating. And how does it technically work? Well, every single NFT on EVM is automatically already assigned with a wallet address. Technically, it's a smart contract account. And so it has an address just like your own wallet. And what happens is that every single country, we or the community permissionlessly deploys a decentralized registry. And that registry basically talks to each other and it links up with the TVA, ensuring that you as the Azuki have, let's say you can, in this example, have one passport that basically gives you entry to every single country in the world. And not only that, it's not just from Ethereum to Optimism, but what about Optimism to Polygon, or Polygon to Arbitrum, or Arbitrum to Base? And as there's going to be hundreds and thousands of L2s, that's going to be a very, very big problem. So something that we're constructing, and this kind of goes a little bit deeper, is this idea of a token ownership Oracle network. Right now, the problem across the space, regardless if it's a bridge solution or a bridging company or indexing or Oracle, is that you don't have access to token ownership data across chain. Now, yes, you could use an indexer, but that's off-chain data. Yes, you could use bridges, but you have to initiate a transaction from both the mainnet or the L2. Yes, you could use an Oracle, but the information that an Oracle typically provides, like Chainlink, is very centered around DeFi. And so it's all about the price of a cryptocurrency and is it fluctuating and all of that for the order book. None of it really focuses on the retrieval of NFT ownership data to allow for the token bound account to natively sign. So imagine you are in you're on Ethereum and you sign a single transaction, and it kind of passes through all the different L2s and gives you a thumbs up. So there's no it's like passing through security easily or customs. So that's effectively something that's missing if we're looking at building this, envisioning this future of objects coming to life in a digital sense. So this is something that we're constructing as a part of Future Primitive. And you're probably sitting here, oh, okay, this sounds really cool. I like the vision, but why? So NFTs represent native internet objects. And so NFTs itself is already a huge category, and it will continue to be a huge category. We're betting on NFTs to become a big thing. Number two is when you own an NFT right now, there's a huge range, of course, right? All the way from POAPs to something that's like $250,000. The main problem right now is you depend on the creator of the project to drive the value of the NFT. You're relying on the founders or the company behind it, and that's a problem. Like, think about it. If you own Bitcoin, you own crypto and all that, the whole point of it is decentralization. You don't want to rely on a single entity. Well, you are doing that with NFTs, at least right now. So what we're trying to do is give you back the control as the NFT owner to control the future of it by owning the account, by owning the utility, and not relying on the creators. And the third is TBAs are the universal account and identity protocol for NFTs across all of EVM. It's a core building block for the future of digital ownership and interactivity. So the way I like to think about it is I use MetaMask, but pretty much any EOA wallet. The whole idea is that you own your own bank account, right? You store your own crypto, all of that. And you see something like Safe, right? Gnosis Safe. Now your internet community or internet organization, or AKA DAO, has a bank account that's shared. That's really cool. And what TokenBound does is that we explore the concept of what if your objects have their own bank accounts? It's a really weird idea. It's like imagining the chair you're sitting on or the table that's in front of you. What if that had a bank account? It's impossible, but that's why crypto exists, to challenge expectations of the real world and be like, hey, why not? Why don't we do this? So now I'm going to give you some concrete ideas of why this is extremely powerful. So one way to think about TBAs is it's a direct to NFT targeting protocol. This is something that we are constructing and we think will be really, really exciting. So one of the experiments that we're running is this idea of targeting blue chips for brands. This is an experiment as a caveat. It's something that we're exploring, and as the space grows, this potential will grow as well. So the general idea is the owner of these NFTs on the right, like the top 10, top 15, when you bought one of these assets, usually this cohort of folks are high spending, high net worth, high engaged, high promotional power, right? You can see the average net worth is really high. And there's been so many brand collabs across the board. But every single brand collab has been very custom and using really janky tools to stitch together an experience. And in general, it's really hard to target an NFT. And I don't think a lot of people have thought about it, right? Like in the most cases, just like, okay, on the left, you see someone's wallet and there's like, I don't know, 99% is a bunch of random stuff. And then there are two Bored Apes on the bottom, right? So the problem is when you target a wallet, you're usually targeting the MetaMask or the ledger that owns the Bored Ape, but not the Bored Ape itself. And the current tools are broken. There's snapshots, there's token gating, or there's nothing at all available to everybody. The problem with all these solutions like snapshots is that usually what happens is that somebody who owns a Bored Ape, they get into the snapshot and then they go sell the Bored Ape, and then the next person is not part of the snapshot, so they don't get to claim the perk. Token gating is also a problem too, because you see people double dipping on rewards, right? They would claim a free t-shirt and then they send that NFT to another wallet that they created, and then they claim another t-shirt. And so we've seen this happen over and over and over again. And this is what happens when we have this idea of targeting a wallet that owns an asset, but why not target the asset that has its own wallet? So TBAs allow for this idea of direct to NFT targeting, because that now that every NFT has their own wallet account, it really opens up this possibility. Things like on-chain rewards, loyalty system, which we'll show you in a second, or reputation systems will become a lot more interesting. So for example, here's something that we're currently exploring. This is a mock-up, so it's just to give you the idea, but imagine instead of targeting the ledger that owns the NFT, you can now target the Bored Ape. So you could link the Bored Ape with a reward. That reward could be a Shopify item, it could be a NFT, it could be access to some services, pretty much anything you could think about, but now you could tie it to the NFT itself. So it doesn't really matter if I own it or Poseidon owns the NFT. Who cares? What we care about is we know that for sure whoever owns the Bored Ape paid a lot of money for it and they deserve a reward rather than the wallet that owns it. So if you zoom out of all of this, we start to see something really interesting, right? You start to see an NFT as a native internet object building what we call a token graph, basically an on-chain reputation system, right? You get to see, oh, here's all the things that this single Bored Ape has interacted with. It doesn't matter that it's Poseidon or me or Jaden or whoever. What really matters is that there's a history now tied to the NFT, which previously does not exist. And that starts to bring us into really take this even further, this idea of what we call a sponsorship network. So when you think about a brand like Nike, right now they're probably like, hey, we think NFTs are cool, we have .swoosh, but how do we like actually get conversion, right? How do we actually target them? With something like TBAs, you can see on the right, like Nike could sponsor all the gas for all the Azuki holders, and they know for certain the conversion will happen because it's no longer tied to a MetaMask, it's tied to the Azuki. So it's almost guaranteed conversion, regardless of whether the Azuki does the action or not. Or the Azuki project creators can also use this system to essentially sponsor gas and then communicate an important update to the project. And this is an example of what it could look like in other interfaces, in different contexts outside of the tokenbound.org. And in terms of exploration, we like to kind of like visualize. I'm a visual person, so we usually create these mocks, but imagining what this can look like if it was an API integrated into wallets as a sponsorship network, or you could kind of think of it as an ad network, but we think it's sponsorship because gas is being sponsored in exchange for viewing an ad. So the other thing that TBAs unlock is the on-chain membership and loyalty programs. So I think coming up very shortly, we're going to see a drop that's going to happen between pools and Coinbase and us. Essentially, what you're looking at here is an NFT. And this NFT has, as you see, kind of in small letters. They're actually creator social tokens inside of an NFT. So the whole project here is going to be focused on, can we encourage new Coinbase customers to mint an NFT that has ERC-20 social tokens inside of it as a starter pack to get people engaged. And we're going to see a lot more of this coming as a typical use case for TBA. We even built our own version of this during the holidays before the new year. We called it RGB points. It was it was kind of tied to the Rainbow Wallet point system. So the whole idea was like, hey, you have Rainbow points in your Rainbow wallet. What if you can mint an NFT that actually had ERC-20s inside? We call it RGB tokens, and that's essentially what you're looking at here. Now, taking it a step further, we can imagine what this could look like from a brand perspective. And we are not working with Essence. This is a mock-up, but you can get the idea of like, you know, how this integrates in a real world e-commerce perspective, right? You're shopping at a store, you buy a hoodie, buy a shoe, and it's like, hey, you earned X amount of points. These points are then put inside of your token bound account. And as you accrue them, you're unlocking loyalty tiers, which give you access to a bunch of things, discounts, etc. And so we're starting to see a lot of TBA use cases around this loyalty program section. And yeah, I think that this area pretty much maps out the large opportunity that we're chasing after. One is token bound rewards. And then there's PPT or pay per transaction, and then challenges. I won't get into all of it, but we believe that there's going to be a lot of potential here, and we're constructing a lot of these things. Last thing, I know I took up quite a lot of time, but wait, there's more. We're not only that, we've been really busy since the start of the new year in preparation for ETH Denver. We are currently working on an upcoming TBA project. It's going to be focused on the consumer sector. So it's actually an app. The really special thing about the FP team is that we're really small. First of all, we're 6 people, and we're mostly from Vancouver, Canada. But we work really, really efficient, and we're really creative. And so part of our brain is like heavy protocol, standards, deep Ethereum knowledge. And then the other part is building consumer level apps that people really enjoy. So we started to go down this path of like, hey, there's a lot of creator focused dApps out there, but they are growing slowly, right? Like Mirror and Sound and Art Blocks, like all of these are really, really cool things. And we started to think about like, there's almost every creative medium of expression on chain, from, you know, art that's uploaded to Zora, or music on Sound Catalog, or Mirror with writing, and social tokens with Friendtech. But, you know, we kind of started to realize, why isn't there a specific thing around photos or cameras? And so that's a project that we're looking to launch at the start of ETH Denver, February 28th. And we're really excited by it. We'll share more information as it gets there, but I think a lot of people will be blown away. And it's really showcasing the power of TBA used in a very consumer-centric, beyond all the use cases that I've already mentioned. And I'll leave you with this, is that if you are going to be in Denver, I know Poseidon will be, and a few other Outlier folks is, definitely come to our event on February 28th. It's called NPC Day. It's the day of which we talk about AI and LLMs and NFTs merging together, and TBA is at the center of it. We have a lot of amazing sponsors, projects speaking, and a lot of live demos. And we're also going to be announcing the project that we're working on there. So anyway, thank you so much for your time. Really excited to be part of the Outliers Fund this round, and we're excited to work with the team. So feel free to shoot me any questions in the chat.